welcome this Monday. You might be watching this in another time, but it might be Monday as it is when we're in the Zoom room. We're going to start with a centering, and what you miss if you're watching the recording is usually a bit of an uncentered arrival, sometimes today a bit of emergency centering, a bit of a check-in and a chat, a bit of dog interaction, and then we settle. So ABC. A is awareness. So notice the space that you're in, sounds, smells. Notice your feet on the ground, your body on the chair or furniture. And notice how you are in your body in this moment. Notice the breath. And then find some balance, some shifting in the space around you, backwards and forwards, side to side, up and down, wiggle and a jiggle. And then settle in that position of least effort. Perhaps bring balance to the breath. And then some softness and relaxation through the core. So on the exhale, softening through the eyes, the jaw, shoulders, chest, belly. Maybe add an audible ah. And then bringing to mind someone who makes you feel warm inside, someone who makes you smile. A pet, a person, or if you're in the Zoom room, having a look on the screen and finding a face to smile at. And then let that go, have a wiggle, and notice if there's a shift in how you feel. And it doesn't matter if there isn't a shift, but if there is, it's sometimes helpful to notice. So I pulled out two words today because one came up and then the page flipped across and a second one appeared. The first is despair and the second is hope. And I thought that was a helpful balance because everybody experiences despair at times. I'm pretty certain everybody experiences despair at times. Maybe there's the occasional person. And despair can be something really tiny, like, I don't know, the dog has tipped up the water bowl again. You know, there are calibrations, there are steps of despair, aren't there? And there are also steps of hope. Hope can be for world peace, but hope can also be that the dog doesn't tip the water bowl up. So despair and hope, they probably even come into our lives without us noticing. And yet they'll have quite different sensations as a body. And notice now, if the word despair, what happens in your body? You might find that something, an event or a recollection comes immediately to mind. So yeah, you'll get stuff coming to your mind, but then what happens in your body? It might be tightening, it might be sinking, it might be retreating, it might be contraction. And then the word hope. What is different? Again, you might have things fly into your mind, but what happens in the body with the word hope? It's unlikely to be contraction and tightening. It's more likely to be opening, lifting. And there's always hope. There's always hope. That's not toxic positivity. There is always hope for something. And sometimes perhaps Despair can creep in without us realizing when we don't need it to creep in. Oh, so the dog's tipped up the water bowl again, you know. In fact, we use it in conversation. Oh, I despair. I despair. The dog has tipped up the water bowl again. Is that really despair? Does that really need despair? Now, you know, if you're exhausted and in pain and struggling and you've just cleaned and tidied and the dog tips the water bowl up and it's a bad day for whatever reason, it might feel like that. But maybe we can shift it a little bit. Maybe we can decalibrate that or recalibrate it so the impact is lesser at times. So I'll have a little look at them and then we're going to have a check-in in the Zoom room to think about them, and I'll pause the recording. So despair, what we think or say, I'm going to contrast them because I think rather than get sucked in and swallowed by despair, it would be helpful to balance it with hope. What we think or say, I have no hope. I see no possibilities. What we think or say with hope. I believe the future will be better than the present or the past. Or perhaps that aspect. I'm sticking with the dog bowl because it's kind of not got well, it might have an emotional component for some people on a bad day, but it's generally considered to be more manageable. And you might want to think of something in your life that's difficult, but not too difficult, not a big thing, not something dominating. Whenever you're practicing a technique, pick something small, pick something on the lower scale. Impact on openness to others. Despair closes us. Hope opens us. Reaction or impulse for action. And this is why we're looking at the balance. Despair, to give up. And people say that as well, don't they? Oh, I despair. I give up. It's become a phrase that I give up. People say it when they don't really mean it as well. We say it. Hope, our reaction or impulse for action, is to look for the future, to the future. And it doesn't mean looking to imagine twinkling stars and perfection, but options for a shift, perhaps. Related emotions, despair, sadness, hopelessness, resignation. I think that's the one that's risky. Resigning oneself to one's fate. Related emotions to hope, optimism, enthusiasm, ambition. Which feels better? One's quite a pleasure to feel, personally. One has a discomfort. Although, you know, we all have a friend who maybe, some people appear to enjoy the stories of despair, like in Eeyore. You know, Eeyore tended to enjoy being Eeyore. Oh, it's terrible. And some people don't want to be chivied, do they? Some people don't want to look at possibility. And that's okay. That's the way they are. But for us, for each of you, consider how you relate or how you prefer to be. It's purpose, despair to allow us to submit. So it's a route to resignation and giving up. Hope allows us to envision something better. And it's that envisioning that, imagining that, being open to the potential for ideas and options. let's see what's next. How despair can get in the way. We don't see the possibility of a better future, even in relation to a dog bowl. In fact, we may not be able to imagine a future at all. Hope. Hope, of course, can get in the way if people are toxically positive and denying reality. And that's what sort of spiritual bypassing is all about, denying the reality of the difficulty of a situation. But things can still be very difficult without total despair, and maintaining or finding a bit of hope for a potential shift. So I think the importance is about, because these things happen sometimes we don't even know they're happening, but recognizing, having awareness of how it feels in the body, because awareness brings choice. Awareness means that if I am in a circling spiral of downwards despair, and I don't need to be, I have the choice to consider how to change it. I'm not suggesting that somebody with horrendous circumstances and or severe problems can suddenly be told to think more positively. It's not about that. I'm talking about the day-to-day things that we as a group do and the situations we find ourselves in. And sometimes on a bad day, we can fall into a pattern. It's a bit like, on a bad day, if you've not slept, and this is what happens to me anyway. On a bad day, if I've not slept, I've had a lot of pain, some things have gone wrong, and I'm wearing a cardigan that's really nicely loosely knit. You know what's coming, don't you? I'll walk into the dining room and the door handle will attack me and it'll catch on the door handle and I'll pull back. I give up. That's the kind of despair that perhaps we can tackle and shift. Whether it's changing how I move through the doorway or changing the cardigan. Perhaps this cardigan is not a good choice for this day. Perhaps I need one with no holes to catch on. So bringing it into something practical and real rather than horrendous issues is what I'm talking about. Although anybody having a really difficult time, myself included, looking for how hope can be included is also a good thing. Not with a magic fix, but how it can be included. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording and have a chat with the people in the Zoom room. Some lovely discussion there in the Zoom room, and there is no way to summarize everything that was said. However, with despair in the body, there's certainly a sense in the group of a downward feeling, a contracted and tight feeling, even if the body is going out a little bit, it's still down and contracting. And that despair balanced with the hope of the upward energy, lifting, opening, softening. And so actually noticing that in the body can also help shift the direction of how you feel emotionally, how I feel emotionally, that knowing that I'm tight and I'm closed off and I'm isolated and not engaged and contracting and sinking, it doesn't mean I can just go, oh, it's all right now, but I can make a conscious decision to lift a little, to soften a little, to open a little, to take away the barriers from others a little. And this group that meet on Zoom, so many of us have said on different times, I didn't feel like coming today, but I came because I knew that I would feel better if I did come. And part of that is that connection, that co-regulation, and that brings an opening. It brings hope. It supports a lifting and an opening. We're going to have a guided meditation. So as ever, find the position that's right for you today, whatever that is. Might be lying down, might be snuggled under a duvet, might be sitting tall, whatever's good for you. Bringing awareness back to yourself as a body. And a quick scan through the whole body, seeing if you can just soften a little bit here and there. Let the breath soften, find its own natural rhythm. And take awareness right to the heart space, center of the chest. And visualizing there a warm glow, a light. And a light that brightens and softens. Brightens more some days than others, but is always there. Always there for you and radiates out from you. A light, a warmth, a hope, a love. A hope and love that fills and nourishes your own body and is filled and nourished from others, to others and from others. Expanding and softening. And as you breathe in, sensing that light brighten, shining. As you breathe out, sensing it soften, quieten. Breathing in, expanding. Breathing out, softening with love, with hope. And letting your awareness move from that heart space into the whole of the chest and the belly. And sensing, imagining that light from the heart space filling the whole of the chest and the belly. Brightening and softening, expanding, contracting. Breathing in, glowing, brightening. Breathing out, softening, quieting. Hope and love. Resting there in the heart space. Allowing awareness to move outwards, further through the body, spreading down into the legs. That light shining, brightening, nourishing, filling the whole of the chest and the belly and the whole of each leg, right down to the toes. Perhaps you can sense it like a warmth filling each leg. Nourishing, nurturing, protecting, loving. Filling the whole of the heart space, the whole of the chest, the whole of the belly, and the whole of the legs. Breathing in, expanding, brightening. Breathing out, softening, dimming, but with love, with hope. And awareness spreading out from the heart space, the chest, the belly, the legs, and into the arms. And sensing, imagining that light spreading through the whole of the arms. Nourishment, nurturing, spreading through the arms. Filling each arm right down to the tip of each finger, each thumb. Breathing in, that light expanding, brightening. Breathing out, softening, dimming, but with hope, with love. Awareness moving to include the head, the whole of the head, so that light from the heart space spreading out through the whole of the chest, the belly, the legs, the arms, and the whole of the head. Sensing, imagining like a warmth spreading through the head, bringing nourishment, nurturing. Breathing in, expanding, brightening. Breathing out, softening, dimming. Hope, love, persisting, remaining. And so sensing, imagining the whole body filling with that light from the heart space, spreading, nurturing, nourishment, hope, love. Breathing in, expanding and brightening. Breathing out, softening, dimming. And allowing your awareness to rest in the whole body as that light fills the whole body for the next couple of minutes. Expanding, brightening, sinking and softening, dimming. Hope, love, resting in that heart space, always there. Perhaps taking an intention forwards into the day to notice hope and love. Notice where a little bit more might be helpful. A little bit of opening, expanding, softening. Notice when a little extra self-care might be needed. Taking any movements you need now, perhaps a stretch, maybe a hug. And coming back slowly and gently to where we began. Knowing that that light is resting within you all of the time. Going to stop the recording now and speak to the people in the Zoom room. If you're watching this on recording, you can join us, you know. We're a friendly group. We don't bite often.